Am I the asshole? For not telling my husband's friend that his boss is my uncle? I am on friendly terms with a couple of my husband's friends. My husband works with these group of people in the same tech company, so they are colleagues as well as friends. Let's call them Kurt, Veronica, and Rachel. The three of them often visit our home and we hang out together and chill. And on these occasions, Kurt and Veronica have cribbed about their bosses, as friends do amongst each other. The thing is, one of their bosses that they like to crib about, is my uncle's father's brother. My uncle has been in that company since AITA at least 10 years and is in a very senior position. He is also my husband's boss. But we've never told Kurt or Veronica that we know him. The last time we hung out was last Sunday. As usual, Kurt was telling me how his boss, my uncle, didn't approve his work from home request. He was pissed that his request got denied, but my uncle granted WFH to two other female employees who were just back from their maternity leaves. And he said a few other things about him, like how stingy he is and how he's an old guy who doesn't understand how WFH is better for productivity than FO. I just listened to Kurt and smiled and empathized with him. But we never told him that we knew his boss. Fast forward to yesterday, I posted an old family pic of mine on IG, which I found after many years, where all my family was gathered, including my uncle. He looked young but was very much recognizable. What I had forgotten was, some time ago I had added Rachel on my Insta. We never chatted on that app, so I had completely forgotten about it. As you can guess, she saw it and must have told Kurt. Because he freaked out and confronted my husband. When he returned home, he told me how freaked out Kurt was and what happened in the office. He said he simply accepted that his boss was my uncle and we knew him, and Kurt walked away angry. Kurt messaged me yesterday night, saying how hurt he was that I would hide such an important detail and let him talk shit about his boss. He's having a meltdown saying I must have told my uncle what he says behind his back, and that's why my uncle is giving him unfavorable treatment. I never even told my uncle that I knew these group of people who worked under him. I didn't think it was anything important to be told. People tend to dislike their bosses and it's okay. And I'm confident that my uncle must have some solid reason to deny Kurt's WFH request. And even if he doesn't, it's no place of mine to tell him how to handle his business. My husband also supports me and told me it's completely my prerogative whether to tell people who I'm related to. Kurt and Veronica feel I should have had some integrity and informed them beforehand that their boss was my uncle. So, am I the asshole? For not telling them? I mean, at some point this probably should have come out, but once your husband established that look, I'm your friend and that's my uncle, and the two shall not cross, that should have ended things. Like, if you folks were vindictive or siding with the uncle, dude would probably not have a job at the moment, right? You're the asshole. I understand that you didn't think it was important info to share, especially because you weren't sharing anything with your uncle. I do think that you should put yourself in their shoes though. Just because you don't care doesn't mean that they don't. Normally, when people vent to others, they try to find a safe space to do so. It allows you to speak more freely without the worry of having something you said get back to the person. For example, when I want to vent about people at my job, I talk to my sister, not my coworkers. So putting yourself in their shoes, would you honestly feel like you were in a safe space to vent about your boss if you were in the presence of one of their family members? You should have given them a heads up. You're the asshole. He was venting in what he thought was a safe space. Then it turns out that you had withheld information. And you sort of imply that you wouldn't have posted that old photo if you had remembered that you added Rachel. Even if you didn't want him to know from fear that your husband would be labeled Nebo, you could at least have shut him down the first time he complained with a line about not wanting to hear such talk. I would text him saying that I never told my uncle anything he doesn't know. We even know each other. I didn't say anything about knowing him cause everyone doesn't like their boss and I don't get into other people's business. My partner worked at my auntie and uncle's factory, they are the owners. It's a huge company. Anyway, when I met my partner, I told him straight away, oh, that's my auntie uncle's place. He brought some work friends round, and as soon as work was brought up, I told them straight away that X is my uncle and Y is my auntie. They're right to be pissed off. I didn't want them to either ask me to help them out with their bosses or blame me if they had told me unsavory things about them and then they had some sort of disciplinary or harsh treatment. You didn't have to tell them and you didn't lie to them about not knowing them, but it was sneaky to not say anything, and I'm sure they feel a bit betrayed. You're the asshole, both you and your husband. Even in your post you said that you've forgotten you added Rachel in Insta. This suggests that you wanted to keep the fact that their uncle is their boss as a secret. I think you already know and understand why Kurt is upset. Your husband is a major asshole as acts like he does not have a role in this. What does he mean he simply accepted your uncle is your boss? Me, personally, if I was shitting on my boss and that turned out to be my friend's uncle, I would piss myself laughing. Not the asshole. You let your friends vent about their boss, who happens to be your uncle. They didn't cross the normally accepted line, and you didn't say anything to your uncle. They just got caught out. Maybe you can reassure them that you've never said anything, but then capping on you says probably not. Not the Oz, you didn't tell him he was our uncle, and you also didn't tell your uncle what he was telling you as a friend. So tell him to relax and take a chill pill. Not the asshole. I don't blame anyone in the story for their. This is why PPL should be mindful of what they say, in general. People don't seem to understand that they can have relationships with others, and another party can be totally unbothered by it, and not involved. Op is not the asshole. You're the asshole. How did you not mention this years ago? I can't think of any good reason to withhold this information, and in Kurt's place anyone would assume the worst motivation for your silence and secrecy. Nah. I'm going to say this one was on your husband. He works there with your uncle and his friends and knew instantly who they were talking about. He was the one who told you they were venting about your uncle. You had no way of knowing he was their boss. Why didn't he bother to tell the friends the same thing? OP, you were in a position where you could have pleaded ignorance and said you knew your uncle worked there but didn't realize he was their boss. They were rightfully upset that you both allowed them to shit talk about your uncle without saying anything. You remained neutral and never told your uncle anything, which was good. Your decision to remain neutral is why you are not in awe. You're the asshole. Just put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if you found out that they knew the boss you've been complaining about?